Hey there guys, welcome back to AFC Game by Game. It's September the 2nd and as you know that means the transfer window has slammed shut. It was a rather interesting deadline day. We saw Moussa Sissoko, the so-called Arsenal fan, join at Tottenham Hotspur for a fee of £30 million. We saw David Luiz return to former club Chelsea for a similar fee. So much went on towards the end of the window that it was worth discussing these transfers. I just thought I'd generally make a video about it because it's been a while since I've been in front of the camera in this essence. I've been doing a lot of Google Hangouts recently as opposed to this sort of thing. So I thought it'd be nice to have something worth discussing, which I certainly do regarding Arsenal's transfer dealings. Towards the back end of the window, we saw Perez and Mustafi join Arsenal Football Club. Two players that were linked to Arsenal for a relatively worthy amount of time, especially Mustafi. We were linked to him for about a month before we actually got the deal over the line. I think we were haggling over the transfer fee, but we've gone for £35 million. And given that he's just turned 24 this year, a World Cup winner, experienced international, had a great time at Valencia, although he was playing under Gary Neville at times, which wasn't the best manager to be learning under last season. I think we've got a real protege on our hands. He seems like a real talent. As I say, he could develop into a world-class defender. If you're not going to already regard him as one, he does seem like a player that's going to slot in really well alongside Laurent Koscielny. He's English-speaking. We opted for him ahead of Kostas Manolas, who could have been a great option for us as well. But Mustafi, in my opinion, he's the younger player. He could potentially turn out to be the better player. Him speaking English is a big bonus, in my opinion, because we've got Koscielny that speaks English. We've got Rob Holding that you could potentially be lining up against alongside, should I say, in a few weeks' time. I mean, we've got all these options at centre-half now. We've got Gabriel, we've got Mertesacker to come back from injury, we've got Mustafi, we've got Koscielny, we've even got Christian Bielik to come through at some point. So all these options really is exciting to see as an Arsenal fan. So I'm really hopeful that Mustafi, should I say, will slot in well alongside Koscielny, and then he can be a great asset to the likes of someone like Rob Holding. Up top, we brought in Lucas Perez from Deportivo, and if I'm being brutally honest, I don't know a lot about him. He was involved in a lot of goals last season for the Spanish side. I believe he got about 10 assists, 17 goals. I think I'm wrong on that. I think I'm definitely wrong on that, but he got quite a lot of, he was involved in quite a lot of goals for Deportivo. He had a fantastic season for them, and he's a player I think is going to do really well for us. I'm hopeful he will, but in my opinion, it is a calculated gamble. He might not pay off. He's Arsenal's new number 9. I'm hoping that he won't carry the dreaded curse of the number 9, which has seen the likes of Park Chu-young wear it. I'm hoping that he's nothing like Chu-young, but he is a player that does excite me. He's pacey. He seems like the Spanish Jamie Vardy in many ways. Will he play as the out-and-out striker for us? I don't know. He does seem like someone that has to rely on a partner up top. I can't see us lining up in a 4-4-2 with Olivier Giroud partnering him. So it could be a case of us playing Perez off the right, Giroud up top. For me, Giroud is still the number 1 striker until I've seen Perez perform on a consistent level in the Premier League. But he seems like a good asset to the team. £17 million. He wasn't our number 1 target, but it's good that we haven't been stubborn and relied on the likes of Akpom and Sonogo as we have done in previous seasons. So I certainly welcome the arrival of Perez, and I hope he works well alongside someone such as Olivier Giroud. Now, looking at a few outgoings, we first and foremost saw Callum Chambers leave on loan to Middlesbrough for the season. He'll come back as a 22-year-old in 2017. I would hope a much better player. At Middlesbrough, he's going to get game time. I'd hope he'd build up his confidence because that's what he so desperately needs. We know that he's a talent. We know he's a player that can perform at the top level. We saw it when he first came in as a 19-year-old and played so well in games such as Crystal Palace, Everton. He looked like a real talent that we had in our hands, but his confidence has dropped dramatically. Jefferson Montero absolutely ripped him a new one a couple of seasons ago, and it seems to have just gone downhill from there. So I'm hoping at Middlesbrough he'll be playing week in, week out as a centre-half, where he needs to develop. He'll come back next season, and hopefully he'll come back a much better player and someone that can be of a great benefit to this Arsenal team. But a real shock for me was, before I get on to Jack Wilshere, which I think we all know is the big one, Serge Gnabry. The talk is that he didn't want to sign a new contract, which I can half-heartedly understand. I could totally sympathise that he didn't feel he was going to get regular game time at Arsenal. I don't think he was going to get in ahead of the likes of Alex Iwobi, Alexis Sanchez. That's just my personal opinion. He is still a great player at 21 years of age. He did have that torrid season where he was plagued with injuries, and it's a shame really because he was having fantastic games against the likes of Swansea, where he scored that goal a couple of seasons ago back in 2013-14. He could have pushed on from there if it wasn't for that horrific injury. It's a shame that we couldn't get him to sign a new contract because, I think the logical thing to have done would have been to sign him to a new 4 or 5 year deal, loaned him out to a club like Werder Bremen, comes back, and if he doesn't feel that he's going to get regular game time, then we sell him on for an increased fee. I think that would have made sense, but the player wanted to leave, so we can't argue too much with that. I just wish Serge Gnabry all the best. And on to the next one, the biggest shock of them all, Jack Wilshere leaving on loan to Bournemouth. I've got real mixed emotions about it, if I'm being brutally honest. I can totally understand why we've done it. He needs game time. He needs to get over these consistent injuries that he's picking up. It'll be interesting to see whether he actually does get as injured at Bournemouth as much as he has at Arsenal in the past, whether the new training regime will work in his favour. But I'm excited to see how he's going to work under Eddie Howe. But Wilshere is like a part of the furniture at Arsenal. He's got real sentimental value, and seeing him go, almost it's almost like ripping a piece of my heart out. He's a player that has been absolutely phenomenal to watch growing up. It's a real shame that his injuries have plagued his career so dramatically, because he could have been spearheading this midfield. It's a shame that 5, 6 years down the line from when he first broke onto the scene, he's not really the heart of our team. He should be the heartbeat of Arsenal, and I feel that. He's 24 years old. Let's not forget that. It's not like he's 28 or 29. He will come back next season as a 25-year-old, and he should be straight into the starting 11. I was really hopeful that he would somehow break into the team this campaign. I was hoping that he'd line up alongside Granit Xhaka. Those two would form the midfield pivot for us. But looking at our options, and you look at it logically, we've got Xhaka, Cazorla, El Nene, Coquelin, Aaron Ramsey. We've got players like Willock and Adelaide coming through. So we've got all these options. Is Wilshere realistically going to be playing for us week in, week out? And I think Wenger saw that and he loaned him out. And it is the logical move, no matter how much it hurts to see him in a Bournemouth shirt as an Arsenal fan. I mean, it's not like he's moved to Tottenham or anything. And you can appreciate he hasn't moved to a direct rival. I'm glad that he's stayed in England as well, because he was linked to AC Milan and Roma. He needs to play in the Premier League. I think looking at it from a Bournemouth perspective as well, it's a massive move for them. I mean, he's one of the best players in the Premier League on his day. That's just me being brutally honest. I don't care what his injury record says. He is still, in my opinion, one of England's best midfielders. And on that note, I do think it was Jack Wilshere's absence from Sam Allardyce's England squad that did fuel this move. We don't know whether it was Wenger's idea to make Jack Wilshere go on loan, or whether Jack Wilshere went to Arsene Wenger and said, look, I want to get playing time. Personally, I think it was the latter. I think Wilshere went to Wenger and said, look, I need game time. I need to be in the England team, because I do think he's a patriot, and I think he recognised that he wasn't going to break into the Arsenal starting 11 anytime soon. But as I was saying, from the Bournemouth side of things, it's a huge move for them. Jack Wilshere is a player that is going to be loved and adored by Bournemouth fans, I would think. And he's going to be the main player in that team. He's going to be the starlet of that Bournemouth side. And I think he needed that. He needed eyes on him. He needs to feel welcome. I think that's the most important thing. He needs a fresh chapter in his career just to rejuvenate it. But that's just my thoughts on Jack Wilshere leaving. Serge Gnabry going to Werder Bremen, and Callum James moving on loan to Middlesbrough. But it's been a very hectic end to the transfer window. We've got a very exciting team that we've built now. So many options in so many different positions. Just to give my quick thoughts on Arsenal's strongest starting 11, I think the team that we're going to be going with moving forward, and it is an interesting one that is certainly up for debate, because as I say, we've got so many options in so many different positions. This is the team that I think is going to be playing for the majority of the 2016-17 season. Petr Cech in goal, Hector Bellerin at right back, Koscielny and Mustafi at centre half, Nacho Monreal, Granit Xhaka, Santi Cazorla, Alexis Sanchez, Mesut Ozil, Alexander Iwobi and Olivier Giroud up top. It's a very exciting team, one that I think can potentially go on to put a real title charge in this season. We've got options in so many different positions. It could be a case of us playing with Theo and Alexis on the wings, but for me it's important not to forget how crucial Alex Iwobi was towards the back end of last campaign. So for me, Iwobi and Alexis make it on the wings, but we could see ourselves lining up with Aaron Ramsey playing off the right-hand side, Alexis Sanchez on the left and Olivier Giroud up top. I think we're going to see that team altered drastically throughout the course of the season as players like Mertesacker and Danny Welbeck come back to full fitness, as we see players inevitably get injured throughout the course of the campaign. I mean, it's the international break now. We've already got Aaron Ramsey and Alex Iwobi out. We've still got Gabriel, Mertesacker and Welbeck out, so injuries are taking their toll only 3 games into the season. But we've got a couple of winnable fixtures coming up against the likes of Hull and Southampton. We've then got Chelsea, so the season is starting to pan out and it's starting to get interesting. At this point, our team is looking very, very robust and healthy. Am I confident that we'll mount a title charge? I'm not too sure, but it really is going to be an interesting campaign. Anyway, guys, I hope you've enjoyed this video. Please do drop a like on it if you have. Do subscribe to AFC Game by Game if you are new to the channel. And as always, I will be speaking to you very, very soon.